Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kay, and today we have a really fun topic. Before we get started, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and let's dive into it. So I haven't posted a video in a couple of days, and that's because I had a tooth that essentially just decided it didn't want to be a tooth anymore. Huge hole in it, had to get extracted. It's been a whole thing, but I'm back, and hopefully our upload schedule continues well. But today we're going to be talking about spacefaring vehicles. I got this idea because today is the day that the Artemis II is supposed to splash down off the coast of California, and you know, how cool is it that we went to the far side of the moon? Great pictures. If you haven't seen them, I encourage you to go look. And it got me thinking, there's so many great starships in science fiction media, video games, television, movies, and I wanted to kind of talk about which ones are my favorites. Now, this isn't a definitive list of which ones are the best, so feel free to go ahead and lock horns in the comments and defend what you think is the best ship. These are my personal favorite ships. I did want to do a top 5. I thought about doing a top 10, but I think a top 5 will just fit better. So before we get started, let's go over some honorable mentions. Honorable mentions being the XB-92 from Valerian and Lorelei, the Star Explorer from Ratchet & Clank. Sorry, Alpheon, you didn't make the cut. The Discovery 1, the X-Wing, and the USS Enterprise. So if you're a big Star Trek fan and you saw the Enterprise outside the top 10, or outside the top 5, sorry, don't worry about that. That's just personal preference. I remember watching the original Star Trek show with my dad on reruns on television. It was my first exposure to Star Trek. I thought it was great, everything about it, but this is my top 5. And so I'm going to go ahead and dive into it. And remember, once more, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's start. Number 1, my favorite starship is the Astra. Now, if you're not familiar with the story of the Astra, this comes from the manga titled Astra, Lost in Space. It's about a group of kids who get lost in space, and they use the wreckage of a ship called the Astra to navigate their way back home. And this is partially why I put it above the Enterprise, because I was so invested in this story. If you've never read it or watched the anime, you can sit and watch the anime pretty much in an evening. It is one season. It is great writing. It's science fiction through and through. They have a great adventure, and the Astra feels home. It feels lived in, and so does ships like the Enterprise. But for me, Astra just resonated more. It was more my flavor. There's things about the Enterprise that I like, things that I don't, but the Astra itself is incredible in the fact that not only does it take a group of kids to be able to actually work it, not that they're great at it, especially at first, but the journey they have to go on just to get back home, and the revelations that they find out on their way home, not only about the Astra itself, but about what happened to their original ship. It's actually originally a camping mission. The kids, they all go off planet for a camping trip every year. I really encourage you to check it out, but the Astra just has a place in my heart in the top 5. Moving on to number 4, my number 4 favorite spaceship of all time is the Millennium Falcon. It's hard to explain what it's like when you're a kid and you see the ship for the first time take off out of Tatooine and just fly off into the solar system. Luke is there. This is where he starts training with Obi-Wan and the Force. On the ship, we get to see Chewbacca and the great line of "Always let the Wookiee win." So much fun happens here, and it had this great design wherein, yeah, it was kind of disc-shaped in the sense that a lot of UFO spaceships are disc-shaped, but it doesn't come to a full disc. It has the it has the carve out in the front, and it's got the cockpit off to the side. This thing just stole imaginations. It stole hearts. Han Solo is one of the most charismatic characters in all of science fiction media. So still not over what happened in episode 7, but I digress. The Millennium Falcon just feels like home to a lot of us, especially those of us who Star Wars was really our first introduction into science fiction. Many of us, that was what we did, is someone sat us down when we were kids and either showed us the movie, watched it with us, or maybe you're old enough like me. I was 9 when Phantom Menace came out, and I remember going to theaters and seeing that. And yeah, there's no Millennium Falcon in that, but because of how impactful this particular ship and the story around the first 3 films was, I was beyond excited for episode 1. And the Millennium Falcon will always hold a special place in everyone's heart, even if you have something like Solo. a Star Wars story. But still a great ship. Now, my number 3 ship of all time is very special to a lot of us who are millennials, who grew up in the 90s. It's the Bebop. The Bebop was one of our first exposures to anime after we saw Dragon Ball and Yu Yu Hakusho, and then we get Cowboy Bebop. It's a really cool story because it's these down on their luck bounty hunters just trying to get by. They have so much fun together on screen, and then you introduce the other characters of Faye, Ein, Ed. Sorry you got mentioned last, Ed, but technically I do believe you joined the ship last, if I'm remembering correctly. The Bebop was so much fun. The Bebop is a place where you really felt like the normal day-to-day of interspace life just happens. It's there. And the adventures they go on is great, especially Spike's history with Vicious and everything that happened to him before we get to the story of Cowboy Bebop. But the Bebop was integral in forming a lot of our views on science fiction and what we expected from future space travel, as well as what we desired from storytelling. Cowboy Bebop still remains one of the greatest animes to this day, and that soundtrack is phenomenal. The jazz intro, play that intro and tell me you do not love everything about it. Because of this, the Bebop has cemented itself in pop culture history, and I can't think of a better ship to make number 3. So ship number 2. This one is interesting because when I first conceptualized this video, I originally had ship number 2 at number 1. Now, the ship in number 1 comes from my favorite property, but the ship here at number 2 was my favorite ship going into this until I started to sit down and look at all the different reasons why these starships were where they were placed. And ship number 1 just blew me out of the water with the reasoning I'm going to put behind it. But for this ship, a lot of people are going to identify with it. And once you hear the name of this one, you'll know what number 1 is. I feel like anybody's going to be able to guess what number 1 is. But my ship at number 2 is the SSV Normandy, specifically the second iteration that comes around in Mass Effect 2. This ship means so much to players like me. The amount of hours and days that I spent on this ship, scouring the galaxy, trying to fight back against the Reapers, it's hard to describe. This ship is the pinnacle of space exploration technology. See, in the game's Mass Effect, they use what's called a mass effect drive. It essentially changes the mass of an object to be able to take it from one Mass Effect relay to another one across the galaxy to allow for faster than light travel. It is such a cool concept, the way that the whole thing was done. Even the guns are based on Mass Effect technology. It helps on ammunition and other things. But the story in the ship is incredible. The one of following this one commander and seeing your choices from game to game and seeing how the ship grows, the different characters that are on it, depending on the choices you make, depends on who the crew is, where the ship goes, how well the ship does. I fell in love with this property, and this ship is so well designed. The shape of it, the boomerang arch shape with the engines coming off the side, not to mention you have your own quarters that can be personalized depending on the different missions that you do, and just everything about the Normandy screams this is what you should be doing when you make a starship, especially one that's used by military personnel. Again, it's so hard for me to say this is number 2, but you'll understand when you hear number 1. But ship number 2, between Garrus Vakarian and Rex and Morton Sola and Ashley Williams and all these different characters that come aboard the ship, Liara T'Soni, it makes the ship feel like part of the story. It's part of the crew. You don't go anywhere without the Normandy. And technically in the first one, you could go onto the surface with the Mako, but that's neither here nor there. What's important is that the SSV Normandy is your hub to do everything. It is the headquarters for the entirety of the adventure that takes place in Mass Effect. Yes, you have the Citadel, and you can go to the Citadel, but that's not really where you stay stationed the majority of the time. You're out around the galaxy in the Normandy, and that is special. You have to get to know the ship, enjoy the ship, work from the ship. I'm having all these fond memories of playing the game as I sit here and talk about it. The Normandy was, honestly, it was the best ship in science fiction since the Millennium Falcon. that I had seen or that I had got up to this point, and playing all kinds of other space games, whether it was Star Fox or Gradius or anything like that. Like, this was different. You were on the ship, you were in it, you did all these different things. It was awesome. And so the SSV Normandy will always have a place in my heart, always have a place in these rankings, especially at number 2, unless some new ship comes along. Who knows? But the SSV Normandy has earned its spot in this top 5. Also, yeah, the idea that they're going to do a Mass Effect show at Amazon, gosh, there's so much potential for this to just be wrong. Oh, I'm not excited about it. Oh, just please get the Normandy right. And of course, ship number 1, if you hadn't guessed it by now, is the Serenity. When Firefly first debuted, the incredible first episode that changed your perspective on how you view everything happening in this particular galaxy just changed the show, the story, the game entirely. The Serenity feels like family. It feels like a part of the show. It feels like a part of the crew. The episode that sold it for me, and the episode that took me over putting it above the SSV Normandy, was the episode Out of Gas. Out of Gas takes place in a series of flashbacks that all are taking place simultaneously within one another, all to tell the story of how important not only the Serenity is to the Captain Mao, but to the rest of the crew, but how important the crew and the captain are to the Serenity. This ship loves its crew, and vice versa. If you're a big One Piece fan, you understand how much the Mary cared for the Straw Hats, and you see that throughout Skypiea and throughout, Enies Lobby, Water 7, that whole saga. And it's very similar with how the Serenity itself handles its crew. This episode is peak television. It is my favorite episode of the whole series. There's just something about the way they handle this ship and its crew interacting and doing everything it can, not only for the crew to sacrifice and save each other, but to save the Serenity. It's unreal. And the fact that the Serenity will always be there, always waiting for them, no matter what happens. This ship is the stuff of dreams. It's what all of us who love science fiction and love spacefaring want out of it. And is my bias for the story and the characters getting in the way? Yeah, maybe. But there's something about seeing the back engine of the Serenity light up before it takes off to go faster than light. It looks like a giant firefly in the night sky, hence the firefly model of the spaceship. This thing is incredible, the way that the twin engines on the side move when it goes to land. It almost pains me that we won't be on the Serenity again. And now, look, I know there's going to be an animated version that actually hasn't been greenlit. You know what? That's a whole different video. It's not the same. This ship, for the duration of time that Fox allowed the show to be on air, which big mistake, Fox, canceling this. That duration, nothing will ever come close to how good this ship was and how attached fans feel to this particular ship. Well, there you have it, everybody. That is my top 5 starships in science fiction media. Let me know what you agreed with, disagreed with, ships maybe I forgot, ships maybe that you saw here and you went, that is a terrible ship, I want nothing to do with that. Hey, everything's open for discussion. Just remember, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Share this with your friends, and I'll see you next time.